Welcome everybody to a new episode from our pilot season, a break from the daily grind. My name is Ben, and I'm sitting across the table from my co-host Corey. Corey, how you doing today?
Oh, I'm not doing too bad, just another day.
Just another day. Good.
Another day. Living the dream.
Living the dream.
All day, every day.
Yeah, I like it. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
At least it's good. I mean, some days may not be quite so good, but hey, you know what? Whatever.
For a Monday, it wasn't too bad. I'll give it that.
You give it that?
I'll give it that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good deal. Okay, so our topic for today, we chose, what did we choose? What did we choose, everybody?
We chose video games.
Video games.
Yeah,
Okay.
classic.
A classic. That's that should be enough topic to hold us over for 4 hours.
We could do an entire season, probably.
But you might be able
Well,
to.
I could.
I stayed
don't
out of
know.
that stuff so
if
much.
you
But
pull out your knowledge from the olden days, maybe.
Bite me.
Some Duck Hunt, maybe.
I didn't even think of those.
Yeah.
I had Mario 1, 2, and 3. Of course, Mario 3 was my favorite.
That was a good one.
That was the best one. But I had Contra.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Super C.
C.
Oh, I loved those games. Loved them. You play those for hours if I get away with it. But I didn't actually think about those when I was thinking. I figured we would do, I don't know, 3 or 5.
Cool.
I mean, if you have more, we got
an
a ways.
hour.
We got an hour to
yeah.
go. So I know I only have like 4 in my list. So I know I'm not going to be able to take up very much time. But why do you want to just go ahead and pick one and pick your top? What's your top favorite?
My top. That's a loaded question because it changes like every month.
Right.
If I had to, I guess a good way to put it is like you're trapped on a desert island and you can only pick like this. What would you pick? And I think my go-to would be probably RuneScape.
RuneScape,
Yeah.
all time favorite. RuneScape?
Probably not because it's my favorite, but just because it's definitely in my top 3.
Right.
So by all means, it's a favorite.
Okay. Well, give me some info because I didn't play that one. So give me some info on it.
So
What's
RuneScape it has had a recent re-rise to popularity.
Yeah.
When it first came out, it was an old 1998 MMO that was started by
before that stuff was.
Yeah. It was. I think a lot of people consider it like the first PC-based MMO.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was point and click adventure game.
Point and click.
Yeah.
Those are always easy.
Yeah. Well, they're easy, but they're time consuming. They'll steal your soul if you let it.
Yeah, that's very similar to the one that I used to play too, and we can talk about that one a little bit. But go ahead and finish.
That RuneScape has a lot of like sentimental value to me.
I figured that was going to come up.
That was like me and my dad's go-to game.
Right.
When I was younger, and it's also a game where I met a lot of my current friends. Like,
good deal.
I didn't meet Caleb on RuneScape. I met him on something else, but we bonded over the fact that we both played RuneScape. I mentioned it at some point. He's like, "Oh, shit, I play that too.
That game is badass."
yeah, exactly. And so we ended up getting into that. I wasn't really good at it when I was a kid. But I started playing it again about 6 years ago, and now the motto pretty much with RuneScape is you never quit, you just take really long breaks.
Really long breaks.
Yeah, you always come back. No one escapes.
No one escapes RuneScape.
RuneScape.
Nice.
Yeah.
So that one was out in what, you said 98?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's an older one. It's been around for a while. It's got a really rich history actually.
Yeah.
So there was old school RuneScape is what it's called now. So there's RuneScape 3 and then there's old school RuneScape.
Okay.
And so what happened was the original RuneScape, which is now old school RuneScape, that slowly evolved, and there was this like really controversial update called the Evolution of Combat,
Right.
which pretty much turned it into every other generic MMO. So like if you're thinking like World of Warcraft or Guild Wars or
Which is one I
like
played.
like where because it was a lot of people liked it for the simplicity. You like click, you can like have a TV show on one screen, and then you
Right.
can have the game on the other. So you're like, oh, I'm playing while I'm watching, this show and everything.
Right.
But this update came out and it changed the whole combat system and all the gameplay mechanics, and a lot of people did not like it. And
Yeah.
so they protested, and eventually after like 2 or 3 years, they found an old copy of the 2007 version
Okay.
of the game, and they put up a big poll, and they're like 250 if 250 people vote, we'll release the game, but we're not going to maintain it at all. It's just going to be left there for something that people can play if they want to, but we're not going to do anything with it. We're not going to mess
No
with it.
updates,
Yeah, no
no-
updates.
Any twitches or glitches you're stuck with.
Yep, exactly. 500, they're like, we'll do minor bug fixes and occasional balance updates,
Oh,
but
okay.
that's about it. And then 750 to like 1 million votes, they're like, we'll completely like get a dedicated team
Right.
like on the game and stuff. It got like 500,000 votes. And so they released it, but they like didn't plan on ever doing any fixes or anything for
It just
it.
minor glitches that
Yeah.
could come up. Yeah,
Well,
if they
and-
had time.
Yeah, it ended up getting so popular though that they actually put a dedicated team on it and
Nice.
started doing updates, and now it's more popular than RuneScape 3 at the current moment. It
Right.
got so popular that they released it for your phone, so you can play it on your phone as like an app
Oh,
now
yeah?
too.
Yeah.
And now they're releasing like monthly like huge updates and everything.
Right.
The game is still at its core what it was when I played it, but there's so much new content, but it doesn't like, it still has that nostalgic
Right.
feel to it where
The
it,
old
yeah
8-bit graphics.
yeah, it
and
still has
stuff.
the old style. Like they updated it without ruining it or like
Right.
making it, because they're like, we already have RuneScape 3. If you want to play that, we have a team maintaining that. You can go play that.
Right.
And then we have this. So it's cool. It's got an interesting history. That's like a really rundown
Right.
sort of version of it. But yeah, I still play it. I play this mode on it called Iron Man mode, and that's one of the main
Does it
things.
have Iron Man in it?
Actually, it does.
Oh, nice. That makes it all worthwhile right there.
One of the things is there's this huge hub called the Grand Exchange where you can trade with players and you can buy any item you want
Right.
and stuff, as long as you have like the gold that
In-game gold.
yeah, in-game gold, and so and obviously you get that by doing things in the game
Right.
and stuff.
Farming and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Iron Man mode takes away that, where you're completely self-sufficient. You have to make all your own stuff. You have to like kill all the monsters and get your own drops. You have to catch your own food to heal yourself and everything. It's a lot more fun. I don't think I can go back to the
To the other
original
ones?
mode anymore. Yeah. It's rewarding and
Yeah.
really addicting.
It really did.
Yeah.
That's the problem with those MMOs.
It is.
I got tied up into one like that. It was called Guild Wars, and since you brought it up, I will come down here to my data.
Yeah.
So the Guild Wars that I don't know if I got it. I think I got it almost right off the rip.
Well, because you got me and
Yeah.
John playing it.
Well,
Too.
Guild Wars, no, not Guild Wars. We had you guys playing Halo Combat Evolved.
No, we played Guild Wars
Did
with
you?
you. Yeah,
Yeah?
yeah.
Okay.
For a little bit.
Yep. So that was franchised by ArenaNet and was was published by NCSoft. That was probably one of the most critically well received and won games from like forever, right? Which surprised me when I found that out, because I figured World of Warcraft would have probably put that right out of existence, but maybe it was just up there with it. It was like one of those games that you were constantly addicted to. And I had a buddy, I don't know, you probably remember Turbo.
Yeah.
We used to play that all the time, and we tried to play together, and of course he always had more time than I did, so he always got farther ahead, and then he had
Yeah.
to come back and help me through. But that was one of the absolute first games that I know of that was not a pay-to-play base, right?
Yeah.
Like RuneScape. Now, if I remember correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, RuneScape, the original RuneScape, you had to pay a monthly fee, right?
Yeah, you still do.
Right.
Because that's how they put out like all the updates
Right.
that are constantly changing.
Yep. And so
stuff.
there's a whole like Eve, and there's a whole bunch of other games that fall under that MMORPG.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Um,
I think the only difference with RuneScape is they don't have microtransactions
Right.
in there. So like it's just the membership fee.
right.
If you're like buying stuff like with real money to get items, that's like illegal.
Oh, okay.
And you can get your account banned.
Yeah.
for
See
it and
that,
stuff.
and that's the same thing with Guild Wars. Is
Yeah.
that you didn't use real money unless you were transactioning money with other players outside of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was people that I didn't really talk to them, but Turbo had talked to a few that they had a guild base, and they weren't playing, or they moved on to something else, and they're like, well, we'll sell the guild base for, $100 or whatever, and
Yeah.
then you had to send them cash, and then they would give you the email and the password and all that stuff.
Okay.
I don't think it was really illegal.
No, I don't
But
think
from that
was.
standpoint, because I guess NCSoft figured if you're dumb enough to send money to some individual, then that's on you, buddy.
Yeah.
But there was probably a little stealing back and forth, with that, people changing passwords on you and stuff like that. I didn't really do that because we didn't really get into that aspect of it too much. But yeah, we played that forever, and I also had the expansion off that. Now, as I was reading up on it, there was 2 expansions for that one. I don't remember the second one because it must have come out after I quit playing. But the first one to come out was Nightfall,
Yeah.
right? It was Guild Wars Nightfall, and I played that for a while. But it's one of those games that you play all the way through. You don't ever get to the end.
Yeah.
You could level your character up to level 20,
Yeah.
and it did have an end game boss, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or a boss or bosses. You could play all the way through it, and there was always stuff that you could do. But once you got to level 20, you really couldn't get any better armor. They had end game weapons that you
Yeah.
could buy, or not. You didn't have to buy. Once you beat the end boss, got to the end of the storyline per se, you got what they called green weapons,
Mm-hmm.
and the green weapons were like the best of the best. So you would take a character, you go all the way through the green boss, all the way through the end boss, get your green weapon, and then you could literally use that on any other character that you want throughout your account. And people were always selling green weapons for ungodly amount of gold and this and that and whatnot. But you had, what was it, like 6 slots, so you got like 6 different characters.
Yeah.
And we started out with one. Me and Turbo, we started with one. We'd play all the way through it, right? Take her all the way up to the end, get the end boss, and then we'd start over and we start with another one, go all the way through it.
Yeah.
And then sometimes there was spots in the game that were really hard. So what we'd do is we would transition to, like, he would use, like, the first set of characters we did was assassins,
Yeah.
right? So we ran these 2 assassins together because it was the first time through. So when, like, I moved on to the second character, which I don't remember what the second one was. It was a necromancer or something. Sometimes he would, if he didn't have a character that was ready to do those quests, he'd log in as the assassin, which was maxed out character, and then we just literally walk right through it because you had your character, and you could, as you quested, you would pick up heroes, which are their AI NPCs that run with you.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I don't think you could change their attack bar, but you really didn't. I don't remember actually casting the actual whatever the actions or whatever in the taskbar. I think it automatically did it. I'm not sure. I think you could probably choose them too. I don't know. Dude, that's been a long time ago. Like, the stuff that I found out is that in April of '09, right, which was like almost 20 years ago, right?
yeah. Just
announced that they sold 6 million units of this game, right? So that was in '09, and I don't really remember when it came out, because I don't even know if I even saw it, but it had to have been. Well, my daughter was born, so it was after '02.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm presuming probably 04, 5, 6, somewhere around there, give or take. So yeah, I mean that was a long time ago.
It is a long time ago.
Yeah, and so I don't really remember much. I know that was the game that I finally realized that I had to get off the internet, because I would go to work and I was constantly thinking, okay, I need to do this quest. I need to pick up this feat, this skill, that. I need to pick up this set of armor. And it was like I was at work planning out my entire gameplay for when I got home. And I just like, that's just too much. It's like you said, that soul sucking.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, nope, I'm done. I'd played, I think I had 4 or 5 characters. They all went all the way through the end boss. They were all set up. And I was just like, you play it so many times. It's like, this is not even fun anymore.
Yeah. It's just a chore at this point, you know.
You know, and then I got
you just get burnt out.
Yeah, and then I got Nightfall. And I think Nightfall gave you 2 more two different classes, or race, not really races, but they were 2 different classes on top of the original 6 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So I think I did 1 or 2 of those, and I was like, it was just like you said, it was work. I'm like, it's not even fun anymore. And T had all his characters set up because he was like, he had the expansion. He was like through the whole thing in a week.
Yeah.
You know, and here I am 4 months in, and I'm only halfway. So he was coming back. And he was like, oh, got to do this, got to do that, got to get this. I mean, he had all the shortcuts already nailed out. We got to do this quest and this quest. I'm like, well, I got these quests. He goes, just get rid of them. We don't need them. There's nothing there.
Well, that's not fun. Part of the experience is like,
right,
getting to do it yourself.
Well, and it was fun to play with him.
Well, yeah,
that's what we did. But it just became too much of a chore to play like that. So I was like,
when I get like my friends into a game, and I know I'm like really far ahead,
right?
I will, purposefully let them take the lead, and I'll hang out with them if they need help and stuff. Like, it's still fun for me because it's like they get to experience it and stuff, and I get to hang out with my friend and everything. But I'm not ruining their experience by being like, oh, well, here's a set of end game armor and the best weapon in the game,
right?
And oh, you skip half of this part of the game because you don't need it, because I feel like that takes away the fun from their experience,
right?
Well,
a lot of times we would get, a lot of those games, you would run into characters, NPCs, that were, just at your very max.
Yeah.
So there's a couple spots that, you go just a little too far. You'd aggro way too many. You aggro the wrong NPC, and you got the whole freaking map up your butt, right?
Yeah.
So that and it happens, right? Something happens. You turn around to get some space, and all of a sudden now you got 15 things jumping down your throat. And so when that happened, it was nice because T's character was there. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
He was way strong enough. All of his heroes were always leveled up. They all had the best of the best. And you take a wrong step and aggro the wrong characters or the wrong monsters or whatever.
Yeah.
He just eat them up. Just eat them right up. There was no issues or no problems. So because in that game when you died, right? Say your character died.
Yeah.
You could come back at a checkpoint or whatever, but you had a disadvantage. So you didn't come back with full health. You come back with 80% health or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
And then you would have to fight 80% with only 80% of your character.
So you got like a negative debuff pretty much for the remainder of...
Until you went...
to like another town or something.
Yeah, I think you had to go in town.
Yeah.
And then you come back out. But sometimes that was a long run. And
Oh, yeah.
if you go in and come back out, everything you killed is back.
Resets, yeah.
Right? So then
Yeah.
you got to go through it all over again.
Yeah.
And it's just like, no. No.
You're the one that taught me what a wiki was.
Yeah?
Yeah, because we were playing, you, me, and John were playing, and we got to like a certain part in the game where we got to level 20, I think,
Okay.
like you said, and you're like, all right, now that you're level 20, now you're gonna start looking at like what build, like what's your end game build gonna be, and then you sent me and John both these links to the Guild Wars wiki.
Yeah, okay.
And it was all the armor sets for like our classes.
Right?
And you're like, pick which one you like, and that'll be like the goal.
Yeah.
That we go for. And so I spent like hours just looking through. I'm like, oh wow, which one do I want? And then after that, I never played a game without a wiki.
Right.
Again, like RuneScape, I got my 2 monitors. The wiki is most of the time on the other monitor when I'm playing the game. I'm trying to do something like, ooh, like, because it's fun to go through a game and not know what you're doing and like learning and stuff.
Right.
But when you get older, you don't have time to do that. So
Right.
you want to be a bit more efficient. So
Right.
you'll pull up the wiki and be like, all right, how do I find this?
I need this. I need this, and this,
and this.
Yep.
And
And those armors, you had to pick certain things from certain quests, and you had to go to the other side of the world to find this one NPC that would build you that one piece.
Yeah.
And you gotta be, and you can't just. I don't know if you could jump from town to town. Could you?
Yeah, you could jump. Yeah.
Like I said, it's been a long time.
Yeah, but you had to get to that town first before you.
Yeah, you had to fight, and you didn't know if you didn't go to that town first. You didn't know that NPC was even there.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like, I gotta go to what town?
What the hell?
Where's that at? Oh, it's in this. It's in the fog of war over here.
Bro, that's 2 years away.
Right.
What?
Son of a bitch, I gotta fight my way over. And it never fails. That's the town that you have to run through a set of monsters that are massive.
Yeah.
Like, and that's where Turbo came in.
Yeah.
Because I just walked right through. And when you guys were playing it, I was probably your Turbo.
Yeah, you were
Be like,
showing us how to do it.
Just stand back. I got this guy.
Yeah.
Just all done. Wipe the floor with him. And you're like, oh, that was easy. I only died twice. I'm like, yeah, it's all right. Just hang back. We'll just fight our way to the rest of the town. Heroes got you. I got you. We'll just get in there. When you get in there, you're good. And then that's the way we played.
Yeah, it was fun too.
Yeah. Yep. Like I said, I like that one because you didn't have to pay to play. That was my biggest thing. It's like I'm paying for internet.
Yeah, you like buy it once,
Yeah.
and then you have the
You're
whole
good.
game.
Right.
That's
Yeah,
fun.
you're good.
So,
And you can buy stuff with in-game gold and in-game stuff. But
I can totally understand subscriptions for games as long as the updates and game content that they are constantly putting out for it are worth the price.
right.
The cool thing about RuneScape now is you can buy membership with the in-game gold.
Oh, okay.
So like if you're like a really high level player and you've been playing for a while,
Farming
chances
real
are
well.
you have plenty of money.
Right.
And you can just you can spend 2 million gold. I think I don't know what a bond is up to nowadays, but you can spend 6 or 8 million gold,
Right.
which for some players is chump change.
Right.
And you buy this bond, and then you get 7 days of membership.
Oh, okay.
Or I think it's 14 actually. Yeah.
I had a character in Guild Wars. It was a monk, and he was designed to farm. It was the weirdest build ever. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think they actually
Just to get as much gold.
well, it was designed where it
Or resources.
yeah, it was designed to go out and farm just to kill NPCs. And all you had to do is cast stuff on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
The skill bar set up so every time something hit you, it would drop your health, but it would take twice as much damage,
Yeah.
and then it would heal you. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, most of these characters now, you see they got 100, 200, 300 hit points. Right?
Yeah.
They got high hit points. That one only had 50. So every time something hit you, it would wipe out your hit points. It would take you down to 2.
Mm-hmm.
But the minute it took you down to 2, it automatically would heal you for so many points, and you just kept casting stuff on yourself
Yeah.
to keep your health up, and it would literally kill anything that touched you.
That's crazy.
Because it would take all their hit points from them, and every time you cast, it would heal you, right? And I ran that guy forever, and that's what he was designed to do. The skill set, the armors, and everything was designed to knock that character to the weakest point possible, and it was literally set up for farming, and gold drops, weapons. It didn't matter. It would get anything.
Yeah.
I mean, you just have to walk out there and just cast stuff on yourself. But I think after a while, there was a lot of people that was coming up with insanely amount of gold, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, this isn't right. So they end up getting rid of some of those spells. The armor they never got rid of, but they get rid of some of the else spells, or they'd update them with something different that didn't work. So that setup didn't work no more. And then
because that's not how it was obviously meant to be played.
Well, yeah, because you'd have guys that would build those. They would go out and they would farm, and they'd come back and they'd sell all the stuff for gold.
Yeah.
I mean, they would every once there were certain NPCs that would drop high level weapons. They wouldn't drop green weapons, but they would drop, I don't know what the other colors were, blue or red or whatever it was. They were high level weapons.
Yeah. And
you could farm those. And people would. They'd go out, they'd farm it, they'd go back to town, they'd go out, farm it, go back to town, back and forth. And they'd do that for hours. Turbo did that he'd do that for days.
That's awesome.
Because you had a percentage on drop. So he would literally go out there and he would farm those particular characters until he got 4 or 5, 6 of the whatever he was looking for. And then he'd go back. Of course, you get all the gold, you get all the stuff you don't really want, you sell all the stuff you don't really want. Then you take the high-end level weapons that you did get, you sell them for top dollar. And dude, he had, I think if I'm not mistaken, he had 3 characters that he had set up just for bank.
Yeah.
That's all those characters. He didn't really play with them anymore.
It was just like space to store things.
Gold. Gold. Because it had gold. I think their thing was platinum, right?
I think you're right.
I think a platinum. They might have had gold, but I think you had gold and platinum. You had 2 different currencies.
Yeah.
His would be maxed out in platinum. So whatever that you could only hold, because everything would stack, right?
Yeah.
You'd say
to like a certain amount.
I'm just going to say, okay, you get 100 platinum, right?
Yeah.
Which is like 1 million gold or some shit like that. 100 billion gold or whatever. So you could take 100 platinum and it would stack.
Yeah.
It's one block. Kind of like Minecraft. You know how you can stack 64.
Yeah.
Well, that was the same thing. So
but it just did like 100 or
I don't
whatever it was.
But you could only hold, you had a chest. You had an in-game chest, which I think all your characters had access to.
Mm-hmm. So
you put your stuff in that chest, and then you could log in as another character, and it could take that item.
Okay.
So you could interchange items. So you had that chest. That chest, I think he had full of end-game or high-level weapons, armor, because all your characters, depending on the build that you were running, had to have its own armor.
Yeah.
To make that build work.
Mm-hmm.
So they would do that, and he'd have like 3 or 4 sets of armor for each character, and all kinds of weapons, and that stuff usually stayed in the chest.
Yeah.
But he didn't have room for the gold or the platinum.
Mm-hmm.
So he would keep like 1 stack of platinum in there, so he had access to it. But like 3 characters, that's all they carried. Platinum. He probably had, each one of those characters probably had their own armor plates, their different kinds of armor, and then their different kinds of weapons that were set up for whatever build he was using. But all the other space was for money. He's like, there's nothing in this game I can't buy. He says, it doesn't matter what it is. He says, I can buy a whole guild halls. I could buy half of the ones that are even made with in-game gold. He says, it's just, there's nothing in here that I cannot buy. I'm like, that doesn't even sound fun anymore.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what's the point anymore?
And so then Guild Wars 2 came out, and so he moved on to Guild Wars, and I was like, you know what? I had stuff in my personal life. I was like, I got to stop spending so much time on the computer wrapped up in these games, because that was where I had played several games before that just happened to be the one that I was like, you know what, I'm done playing for a while.
The straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah. So, I remember the first one though was Rainbow Six 3.
Oh, really?
I don't know if you remember that. Was Raven Shield?
Yeah, we
Okay.
so they're still making games. Actually,
Right.
their most popular one that's out right now
Is that still Red Storm Entertainment?
I'm not sure.
Or by Ubisoft?
Ubisoft, yeah.
They're the same ones.
Rainbow Six Siege is what's out right now. That's like
That one was out a long time ago though.
it might be a remake of
Maybe.
it, but it's like their most popular
Yeah.
Rainbow Six game.
Yeah, we started out with Rainbow Six 3 Raven Shield, and me and T used to play that. I mean, that was fun too.
You had to like tactically clear out the
Yep.
buildings, right?
Yep, you'd have. They had several locations. They had England, Norway, the Caribbean islands, Rio de Janeiro. They had 15 single-player missions, 50 weapons, including handguns and rocket launchers. There was 30 different specialist modes, and that was just the base of the game, because that was for PC. So then you get into modding, and once you got into modding, it was
The whole
countless.
world.
It was countless.
Yeah.
We played the shit out of that game. Now that one, if I'm not mistaken, that was the first Rainbow Six that you had a team that you could control.
Oh, really? Really?
I think.
Okay.
I'm not 100% on that one. It was a lot like Counter-Strike, and it did adapt several features that the other ones had,
That doesn't surprise me.
but it doesn't really say anything other than that to speak of. But you could control you went in with a squad of 4. It was
Yeah.
you and 3 others.
Okay.
The 3 others were AI, right? That you could control. So you walk up to a door and you'd say, Soldier 3, crack the door, or wedge the door, or
Yeah.
open the door and clear, and they would go up. You would tell your team to open and clear,
Mm-hmm.
and you could stay back and keep that thing when that door flies open. They all 3 run in, and then they clear the room. Any hostiles in there, now they could take damage. Some of them, sometimes they would die if you opened the wrong door at the wrong time. But that was cool. Back then, that was the shit, right?
Yeah.
And you could run that game multiplayer in that mode. So me and T, we used to go on these maps. They didn't have a lot of tangos. They'd have 20 or 30 tangos. So we'd go in with a team of 8. I had
Mhm.
4, he had 4. And we would tactically open doors and clear rooms and come around from the one side and aggro these guys and then come in. It was cool, right? It was cool. But then, like any good game, he got into the modding. He did some modding, but he also found already previously modded maps.
Yeah.
And I remember we had one. The map looked like something out of Doom, right? The graphics weren't, for that modded map, it really didn't look that great.
Yeah.
But it did look something weird, like space, just columns and walls and never-ending craters and stuff like that you could fall into.
Could you imagine just being like this random special operator or something, and suddenly you just wake up and you're in outer space,
Right.
fighting demons using these,
Well, it had regular tangos. I guess it would be more like, if my memory serves me right, it would be more like going on a paintball course,
yeah.
right?
Okay.
It had the Doom kind of black and grays and
Yeah.
weird outcroppings and stuff, but it was more like, probably it'd be better off described as a paintball course. And that one had 100 tangos in it.
Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah, and the 100 to 8, right? You do the math. That's a lot of tangos. Each one of your guys has to take out a lot of tangos. We used to go in there and we used to wipe the floor with them. We'd go in there and, of course, that's 50 tangos apiece. We'd go in there and we'd clear it. I mean, sometimes we would fail.
Yeah.
You come around the corner, because every once in a while the algorithm would change.
Yeah.
I mean, we played enough that we kind of already knew the percentage of where they were going to be at.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, it would throw you a curve. The algorithm would change, something you weren't expecting, and you would walk around a wall or open a door where there's never anybody there. You'd open the door and there's 15 of them there, and they all open fire on you. It's just like, son of a bitch. Wipe out the whole team right now. The instant gone. Reset. Reload that map because that didn't work very well.
Run it again.
Yeah, run it again. We had a couple of them. There was that one. It was one that was a submarine. I like that one too. That was pretty cool. That was cool. Yeah. So, all right. What else you got?
What else do I got? Oh man. Let me open up a can of worms with Age of Empires.
Oh yeah, you still play that one, dog.
I literally just got done playing it before I came over here.
You're like, I'm going to play it for a few hours before I go over and talk about it.
I had to get the research, all the. I
don't think that's exactly the kind of research I was talking about.
On the field research, in the field, in-field research.
Yeah,
the best kind.
Yeah, I guess.
I think if out of any game, that is the game I've clocked the most hours in.
Oh, I bet.
Not counting the disc version and playing online against other people and stuff before Steam, because
Right.
Steam keeps track of your hours.
Oh yeah.
So the HD edition and then the definitive edition remake, which are two different things.
Right.
I have a total of 6,000 hours.
Do you have more hours than that, or do you have more hours on Clone Hero?
No, the Age of Empires.
Age of Empires?
Yeah. Yep.
Because I know you played that one.
I played
too.
a lot of Clone Hero
Yep.
too. No, Age of Empires. That's without the CDs. If I had to add up from like my childhood when I was playing it before I got Steam, they're easily over 10,000 hours.
Years.
Yeah.
Well, how many hours are in a year?
Let's look.
Yeah, Google that and find that out for me, because that'd be something. I did play that one a little bit when you were a kid, but I didn't play it a lot.
8,760 hours
In a year?
in a year. So I've spent over a year playing Age of Empires.
Wow.
Which is honestly, I don't regret, because
you don't think about, like, you know what? That's a full year of that. I mean, that kind of blows my mind a little bit.
But the experiences that I had, I've met all my best friends that I currently know through Age of Empires.
Right.
Caleb, who is now currently my roommate.
Right.
Moving from where he did, which is crazy, from another state. And so I've known him for 14 years, and we met on Age of Empires.
Right.
My friend, Hasith, who I've known for 15 years, met on Age of Empires.
Nice.
Friend Brandon, I've known for 13 years, met on Age of Empires. We're still friends. We literally just got done, being on Discord, playing it. Countless memories. There's so much you can do in that game besides just playing it. One of my favorite things was building the levels in the level editor.
I remember that.
Yeah. You made some.
Yeah.
You could make maps, and then you could share them with your friends and then have them do it.
Right.
Or you could make maps and have all your friends play. Age of Empires has been around for a while. It first came out in 1995, and it's still going strong. They just released the fourth one in 2021.
Wow.
And so we played that. We played that competitively for a while.
Right.
And so we didn't get the top rank. The top rank is Conquerors rank,
Right.
but we got the one just below that, which is Diamond rank.
Right.
And so we were in the top 1,000 players in the world for a while for 4v4s.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, which is really fun but stressful.
I bet.
Stressful. You literally have to have your movements down to a science. 4 was more forgiving, but 2 in competitive, if you misclicked and lost 2 seconds, your game was probably over.
Right.
Depending on
you were hoping that the other person did the same.
Yeah, exactly. If not, you're at a severe disadvantage.
I remember playing that, and you and I would play, and I could build the town, I could build the people, I could build the resources. I could not build the army to save my ass.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of times that I would just take all my resources, because I always had a shit ton of resources. I just sent them to you. I'm like, there you go. There's your resources. Go ahead and you clean the map.
That's a strategy too.
Yeah.
So when you're doing a 4v4, you'll have 2 people on the outside because usually it'd be like a circular. So your enemies were on this side.
On the outside.
Yeah. And then you were on the other side, and then you'd have 2 of your teammates on the outside and then 2 in the middle.
Right.
And you could run down the middle and attack the people in the middle, but that wasn't really viable.
Right.
Because your teammates on the outside can just encircle whatever you send into the middle. And it was a longer distance to get to those people that were in the middle.
Right.
And so the people in the middle, they would just boom. And booming is when you don't make any military. You just focus on economy.
Right.
And then you sling it to your guys on the outside. And then they just fully commit to an army.
Right.
And once they're all up to par and your boom is really good, then you start putting in an army too, and it just snowballs into like then you pretty much become unstoppable at that point. But we played a lot of that. We played a lot of the custom scenarios where it's not competitive, but it's just maps other people created, and we did all that stuff. I even liked the campaigns where you just played by yourself. That got me really into history. You know, because they weren't completely historical. You know, it was historical fiction to a degree because they elaborated on events and stuff. They used historical figures, but the like actual campaigns aren't down to a T. So I guess not historical fiction, but it's just
they would use the way the militaries were designed. The characters that were in your city or civilization were probably close to being accurate, and the skill feats that you could get and the ferocity of those characters might have been a little more accurate than some games.
Here's a good example. The Aztec campaign. If you know anything about the history of the Aztecs, you know that when the Spanish showed up, the Aztecs didn't win. They got wiped out by the Spanish. But in the Aztec campaign, you play as the Aztecs, and at the end of it, it's you win. It says that
if you play it right.
Yeah, if you play it right. It says the Spanish leave, but they might come back one day. The Aztecs never kicked them out. The Spanish just conquered them and stayed there and stuff. So that's what I mean by it's like it's got historical stuff because like what they talked about, like Montezuma, who was the leader of the Aztecs, that was a real person.
Right.
That was a real leader. Cortez, the person who showed up when he did, that's a real person. That's a real conquistador who actually sailed to colonize and look for gold in the New World. You know, that's sort of what I mean, which was kind of cool. That's what got me really into history.
Right. So you're a history buff.
Yeah. Well, I try, but it's not necessarily accurate all the time.
Well, you know.
But lots of memories. I don't even remember how I got into that game. I think I just I got on the computer one day and my dad had it installed on there and I just started playing it one day. I'm like, oh, this is cool.
Right. Yeah, I don't really remember how that started.
I don't either. I know I got the second one for Christmas when he was still alive. And then I knew I had it at that point just the whole time, and I just played the heck out of it.
Right, because I remember that's why I got it, because you played, and you're like, I want to play with you. Let's play together. But you had to have 2 games.
Yeah, you had to have 2 discs to do LAN.
So I ended up buying it, and we played I didn't play a lot because I was still trying to bite my demons. I didn't want to get addicted to that stuff. Yeah. So, but I did play on occasion, but I remember I didn't do very good. Every time I was like, I'll play, but I'm not going to play against you because I knew damn well you're going to wipe the floor with me.
We played against the AI, and we whooped the AI
every time.
Because we were a good team. Well, I think we got to the point where we were doing like you and me against like 5 of them at the same time.
Yep. And it was good because I was good at the boom.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And you were good too, but you were well-rounded. Mm-hmm. But with my boom, you could do all kinds of nasty stuff.
Yeah.
You didn't have to worry so much on it. You could focus on raising the army, and you would just literally wipe the floor with the AI.
The army's complicated. It's just because of how everything works and stuff. Like like horses get countered by spearmen, and then spearmen get countered by swordsmen, and then swordsmen and spearmen get countered by archers, and then
archers get countered by horses.
Yeah, and then like archers get countered by it was like this advanced rock paper scissors.
Yep. You had to build the right amount to group together and move them together, because if not, somebody was going to stop you in your tracks for sure.
Yeah, but that game was definitely one of the most impactful games ever. And I think it's funny because we just recently started playing it.
Yeah, and all that stuff is on Steam, right?
It's all on Steam.
Yeah.
Yeah. I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
I don't think, if you like strategy games, you can't go wrong with Age of Empires at all. It is probably the best of the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did like I did like those style of games, but just like any other game, you have to be able to play it to learn it. Yeah. To really truly have fun at it.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't want to take the time to play it. I had kids, I had, family, I had work.
Yeah, exactly.
And I didn't have that kind of time to soak into that. Or I didn't dedicate that amount of time that needed to be able to be that good at it, to have a lot of fun at it. So I don't regret it though.
The thing is too, I feel like you don't need to have as much time dedicated to it if you have someone who can like show you and fast track. Me as a kid when we were playing, there's no way I knew how to show you. If I tried to explain how to do something, like it probably didn't make any sense.
You tried, but I wasn't fast enough on the clicking.
Yeah.
To get, I was always 3 steps behind you.
Yeah.
It never failed. I was always 3 steps behind you, and I just couldn't get caught up. Now I could stay ahead of the AI.
Yeah.
Most of the time. 60% of the time I could stay ahead of it. But I always overdid my economics, and in the soldier side of it, the war side of it, I never did very good.
There's a lot of micromanaging.
Yeah.
I
never had not the right mix, either too much of this or not enough of that, or I would get tangled up with somebody that would kill off half my army, and then I was too busy spending all the time rebuilding the army while the AI or the AI was already advancing and taking over everybody else. I just couldn't. I didn't play it enough to learn how fast I need to click, how many materials I need to put the bunker in, or whatever the case was. By the time I figured that out, I had way too much materials, and I was already behind the 8 ball on the army side.
Yeah.
So that's just the way it works, I mean, you got to play it in order to get that way. So.
Yep.
But so we got just a few more minutes left.
Yeah, we got about 9 minutes.
Yep. So is there anything else you want to add about the games that we've talked about today?
No, we can keep going.
Okay, so we've talked about Rainbow Six. We've talked about Guild Wars.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about Age of Empires.
Yeah.
We talked about RuneScape.
Yeah.
You've got to have a third one that you just love.
Oh, it's hard to pick though. So actually I do. So it's I feel like all those other ones are like multiplayer based ones. I'm trying to get more into single player based games that have like really good stories and stuff, because it's like an interactive movie.
Right.
So I played one a couple years ago actually with me and Holly played it together. It's like it's almost like, did you ever do one of those choose your own adventure type books before?
I used to have the books, when I was little, yeah.
So there was this one. It would be cool to bring it and have you play it at some point. I think you'd like it a lot. It's a really good story.
Right.
You make the decisions and they impact it. It's called Detroit Become Human.
Detroit Become Human.
Yeah.
Never heard of it.
So it's this really cool game. It's about Detroit, we're like the Motor City and like car capital and stuff, manufacturing. Well, we get a new boom later in the future. I think it's like 200 years into the future, where we become the android capital of the world, where we create androids, and the whole thing about the story is that these androids become sentient and have human like feelings,
Right.
and start experiencing human emotions and having free will and the ability to think for themselves and everything.
Lord help us if that day ever comes.
And so you take on 3 different story perspectives.
Okay.
So one is Connor, who's this detective android who's assigned to one of the detectives at the Detroit PD.
Okay.
And so their whole thing is trying to figure out why these bots, these androids, are becoming sentient and stuff. And I forget what they had, like a term for them. I forget what it was.
Almost sounds like a movie.
It is. It's really a movie where you
Like-
choose the outcome.
But there was a movie that was based on AI becoming sentient.
Is that
It
the
was
one with Will Smith
Yep.
in it? Yeah.
iRobot.
Yeah, iRobot. Yeah.
Yep.
A lot of people described it as that. But like you like choose how to how to proceed with the androids, how they'll like interact. One of them one of the people that you choose is Marcus. That's
Right.
another story that you follow. And he's an android that ends up becoming sort of the figurehead for all the androids that are trying to break free.
Yeah.
And you kind of get to determine what path he goes down, whether he is a violent revolutionary leader where he like leads the androids to like supremacy
There's a whole
and stuff.
Terminator shit.
Yeah, Terminator type thing. Or you can decide to do like a peaceful option where you're trying to show that, you know, even though they're sentient, they're not there to hurt anybody.
Right.
And stuff. It's really cool. It's a really good story. All the different perspectives of
Yeah.
it and stuff. But eventually it becomes dangerous because the humans don't understand that they're not trying to threaten anybody.
Well,
Not all of them are, but
the human species always feels threatened
yeah,
anyway.
yeah, exactly. So they're like the androids. It becomes dangerous for them because they're
Right.
like anytime there's one found out, because the gimmick is like they look exactly like us.
Right.
There's no way to tell
I
them
think
apart.
there was a couple movies like that too.
Yeah, and so if they get found out, they'll get like killed on sight,
Right.
and whatnot. And so it's really good. I highly recommend it. I have it.
Right.
I have to bring it over sometime. I got it on my Steam Deck.
Yeah.
You can hook it up to the big TV there,
Yeah.
and then you could connect one of your wireless controllers to it. And we could play through it like it was a movie
Oh,
and stuff.
Huh.
It's cool.
nice.
Yeah.
Nice. That particular video game brings up topic I have in maybe future podcasts, and there is a massive rabbit hole right there that you just stepped over and didn't fall in. So we might have to come back to that particular topic, maybe more than once, because I know
Artificial intelligence.
Oh.
Yeah.
yeah, if there's nothing, that's probably one of the most scariest things for me right there.
No, I agree.
I've seen way too many sci-fi movies
I
that end very badly
know.
because of that. So yeah, might be a cool video game, but cool. I'll see if I got something else. This one might be a little bit longer. I know this. I'm surprised you didn't actually come up with this one. I had one that I started playing probably before you were born, and that was Halo
Yeah.
Combat Evolved. It came
Yeah.
out. It came out on Xbox. It was released in 01.
Mm-hmm.
And they retrofitted it and launched it on the PC, I think, in 03. And I played the PC version, right?
Yeah.
We played the shit. Me and Turbo played the shit out of that. We played that forever, right? It started out as just 3 maps. I think we downloaded I want to say the demo.
Yeah.
It only came with 3 maps.
Okay.
And we used to play the shit out of that. Then we turned on. Then we bought the actual video game, so that gave us the rest of the maps.
Okay.
But man, oh live, did we play? We played that so much. And the cool thing is that was before. And you had mentioned this program before, Discord,
Yeah.
right?
That was like TeamSpeak.
Right.
and-
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Before Discord and all those other ones that they're now, Turbo, he had lots of time, so he actually discovered this program called TeamSpeak,
Yeah.
And we used to use that with that game. So we'd open up TeamSpeak, we would link so we could voice chat to each other on a private server, whatever. And then we would load these games up, and then we'd play these games over top of that. So we would be playing these games like they do today, you know, with the headsets and all that stuff. But we were doing it way back then, and we used to get the amount of people that would cry and whine because we would set it up. It'd be 2-on-2, right? Usually we set it up 2-on-2, or it was 4-on-4. I can't remember. It might have been 4-on-4. And me and him would play against the other people, just totally wipe the floor because they were playing basically by themselves with a teammate they couldn't contact. They had no communication with, right? And me and him are talking back and forth, and we're calling whoever we're playing against, you know, all kinds of names, and we would be telling each other where other people are and all that good stuff. So yeah, I mean, it was cool, and it made a huge difference in the way gameplay actually went.
Oh yeah,
massive difference.
Sometimes the silence is missed though with Xbox lobbies.
Oh,
Call
yeah,
of Duty lobbies. Oh my goodness, you get the squeaker on the other. Their parents weren't home, so they could go crazy. yeah. You just got dropped by me, bitch. Come on. How old are you? Old enough to do your mom.
Yeah, I never did like those lobbies. And that was the cool thing about TeamSpeak, and I'm sure Discord's the same way. I never really got onto Discord, so I don't know how it's laid out, but TeamSpeak, you set up your own rooms, and he used to run a dedicated server all the time.
Yeah.
So all of us, there was I mean, at one point in time, I think it was like 10 of us that would play we'd play together, and we were all over the United States. So there was certain people would be on at certain times. You know, there was a lot of people that I didn't see because, you know, they were on before I got home because I was working afternoons usually. And so they would play during the day or in the evening when I was at work.
Mm-hmm.
They'd be gone before I got on. And there was people that would come on the same time I was. It was 3 to 4 people that I played with regularly.
Mm-hmm.
That was the cool thing about TeamSpeak, because you were in your own private room. Whatever you said was between you. You didn't have to worry about all the other rhetoric that was coming from those games.
Yeah.
It was just...
And you could let in who you wanted to let in. It was permission, invite based.
Well, a lot of that you had to have IP address.
Yeah.
Right? The servers were posted on TeamSpeak's. You could search for a server.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're playing Halo or whatever, or Rainbow Six 3 or whatever we were playing,
mm-hmm.
they didn't know. There was no way for the opponents that we were playing against to know that we were communicating behind that game.
Yeah.
No idea. I mean, so there was, and a lot of times he would either block the name so it didn't show up. You had to do an IP only request. So you had to talk to him in order to get the IP address, in order to log into the server. And then once you logged in the server, you had to have a login. You had to have a username and password. Most of the time, he required a username and password. So that stopped a lot of the riffraff anyway. But every once in a while, if we were playing a game, or he was playing a game like Counter-Strike, or I can't remember some of the other games he used to play, because there were games I'd never heard of. But when they were playing those, he would invite the entire squad in there, and they would play that way. Yeah. So then he would do an IP addresses, blah, 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 blah. So they would download TeamSpeak client, and they would punch in the IP address, and they would log right in.
Okay.
They'd bypass all the searching, because you'd search on that thing, and it'd be, 10,000 dedicated servers that were running. Yeah. And there's no way you're going to find one person in 10,000 servers.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so you just do the search by IP address, it'd pop up, and that was it. You're good as gold.
I think it was funny that you mentioned that they don't know what's going on. Like, they don't know that you're talking.
No, not at all.
You get ruthless on Age. We'd play this mode called Diplomacy, and what you do is you leave teams unlocked. Right. So you can change your stance with anybody at any time. So you can be their friend and the
Right.
next thing you know, you can change them to enemy.
Right.
So we get these like 3 or 4 hour games of people like playing politics and these stupid games that we're playing. Like they're like, all right, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna declare war on these 3 right here, and
Right.
we're gonna wipe them out. Well, they don't know that I'm communicating with those 3
Right.
right now as we speak.
Yeah, because you could.
And you're about to get backstabbed, and it's about to be a 3 or a 4v3
Right.
instead of a 3v3.
Right.
You know?
You say, all right, well, I'm going to keep you as marked as opponent on the game, but I'm talking to you. I'm telling you where all my stuff is.
Yeah.
So it's just like you're going to be able to walk right around me, and I'm not going to attack you. Even if you walk right by, I'm just going to let you go. And they're not going to be the wiser. You can't track all that.
My empire was so big. I'm like, oh, they walked through my land. I was over in this part.
Yeah, I wasn't even that part
I
of the
wasn't
screen.
even looking at that part of the screen. You know, what do you mean they just destroyed your entire base? Hold on, let me look. I don't think my army's gonna get over there in time.
No.
Sorry.
You're on your own, buddy.
we are such sleaze bags.
Oh,
in
yeah. We used to do the same thing. We used to just totally pounce on somebody in there. We would just wipe the floor with them, and then we'd get to spawn killing. they would get mouthy, or they would say something stupid, or they would start killing the team members. I'm like, yeah, that's not gonna work.
Yeah.
So one of us would stay at one of the map, and the other one would stay right there by the spawn point and kill, spawn, kill, spawn, kill, spawn, kill, spawn, and we just do that till they just rage quit.
That's awesome.
And that's how we did that. So that was kind of cool. So, well, I tell you what, let's go ahead and cut it there.
Yeah, I'm good with that. Yeah,
I would like to thank all of you for staying tuned with us to the end of today's discussion, and we hope that you enjoy the topic of chat, and hope that you will join us next week for, I don't know, new conversation. We might just carry this one on to the next one,
This one's going good so
because
far.
I still have 1 or 2 on my list. I know.
I got 1 million.
Yeah, I'm sure you got a bunch.
Yeah.
So we may continue in the next conversation. We may have something different. We don't know. So I guess we'll figure out next week.
Yeah.
So until next week, from myself, we will say thank you for stopping by, and we will catch you later.
Thanks. Bye.